The town of Berlin. Country charm at the center of Connecticut.
So we'll call this meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilor Angelico Stetson.
Here.
Councilor Giannoni.
Here.
Mayor Kaczynski.
Here.
Councilor Luddy.
Here.
Councilor Pagliaro. Here. Councilor Payanessa.
Here.
Councilor Rosso.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Start first with our audience of citizens. If anyone wishes to address the council, now would be the time. Yes, sir. First up. Don't you have a meeting?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Yes, I do. Sam Lamaglio, 78 Hickory Hill Road. I'm here to talk about two issues, very important. One, I wanted to invite each member to a Board of Finance meeting next month, not a joint meeting, but individual members to come in and talk about. I would talk about consolidation. I was at the polls last week talking to voters, and the concern is they feel that the town government is bloated. I explained to them that we're not bloated, but they said that, members of the council during the campaign season kept on talking about that there were a plan to consolidate departments. And I told them that I haven't heard any plans. So I'm here to ask each member, and I know during the campaign and even when Council Danielle resigned, Ann Riley put in the paper that she was looking for a member like Alex who had plans on consolidation. And we've asked the council a number of times about these plans, but no one's come up with the plan. So we figure the Board of Finance, that we have if any member would come, we will allocate 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes and give us a plan. We do have an idea, though. We're looking at the numbers for the VNA tonight, and the numbers don't look as promising as we thought. And that's one of our plan, is that during this budget season, we're going to have a serious discussion on the VNA. We know it's in the charter, but we do feel that we can kind of defund them to a certain level if they don't turn a profit. I mean, they do get around $800,000 a year, and quite honestly, they are losing maybe between $600,000 to $700,000 a year, and we think that's a problem because we don't think we should subsidize an organization that loses a lot of money. So we want to talk about that in the budget process, and maybe if you guys have any ideas how we could turn that around. So we're going to meet next month. We'll send you a date, and if each one of you would want to come, that's great. Then another issue I want to talk about, it may sound crazy, but I've talked to the Golf Commission. We've had a number of discussions, a few members or I, and we want to do a community thing at the golf course in December during the Christmas holiday, and we were hoping that the council would support it. Well, we're going to call it a winter festival. What we want to do is rent an ice skating ring like they do at Hartford at Bushel Park, and other towns have done the same thing. And maybe for 2 weeks during the school vacation, we will put the ring there. I guess some members of the Golf Course Commission have talked to the schools with upbeat and have some the chorus departments from the grammar school to the high school. They come in. It's a way we could showcase the restaurant. It would be open on the weekends, the restaurant, and it would be a big community activity. And obviously we need money, and I talked to some members of the Board of Finance. We'll try to find the money if the council would consider that. And I know the Golf Course Commission is going to vote on it Thursday night. And you'll probably have a request. I've talked to the town manager over it. I've talked to the director of Park and Rec, and she was supposed to get some numbers on the ring and submit it to the council. But I think it's a great way where we can get the community together for 2 weeks while the kids are off from school. Parents could come on a Saturday, Sunday night, and we could have a great activity there. And it'd be a family activity. So I think hopefully maybe you guys could think about that.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Sir. Thanks. Anybody else? Or probably, yes, sir.
John O'Brien, Vineyard Drive. I want to just clear a couple things up.
Nothing to do with constable. When that comes up, I'm going to enjoy that with my legal team. I want to bring up the political signs at the Bobo gas station. It seems to me last year it was okay when I put up your 4x8s there, Mark. This year was kind of different. We got them taken down and everything. Seeing that they were on state property, we paid, I'm a taxpayer here in town, we paid our taxpayers paid to have town employees take those signs down. It was pretty ironic because one of your people said, Mark's the mayor, we could do whatever you want, and 6 days later, your signs are going back up there. And if it wasn't for a certain person that complained about it, that the sign should be taken back down, they were removed by noontime. Okay, again, seeing that we're paying our town employees, taxpayers money, taking signs down on state property. The other issue, across from Central Pizza House. There were signs taken down there, town employees on my dime. We paid engineering department to go out and survey state property. Again, taxpayers paid for that. Nothing. When the signs were coming down, I said, I supported Joe, I put up Joe's signs. I'll take Joe's signs down. I removed those signs, put them face down on private property, which I had permission. Town employees, very nice. They said, okay, as long as they're basically on private property. Then they got the order to come back and take the signs I put on private property and take them back to the town yard. Taxpayers' money again. Everything. Now, the other thing is, Mark, if you run for re-election next year, your signs cannot go up on those properties at all because I will be the watchdog on that. Everything. If you have any comments about those signs, feel free to ask me.
Well, I don't have any comments. I have the facts, but
The facts.
I'm not sure you're interested in those.
Oh, yeah, because they weren't obstructing.
But there was people complaining. There was business owners complaining. There was a lot of people complaining.
About the signs?
Yes.
At the mobile.
Yes.
Okay, if you're
Both
such,
locations.
if you're such the police officer in this town, how come there's signs back
I'm
over
not the
there?
police officer. They're calling town hall. They're calling the town manager. I'm not the
I'm
police
going to put a
officer.
complaint in. There's signs back over there.
Whose sign is?
There's signs. You said no tag sale, no signs whatsoever. There's signs back at the mobile.
During the election season, and if they're on the
What-
state
what-
right away, they should come
What
down.
does that have to do with election season, Mark?
That's the state
You know,
rules.
those signs were targeted, Mark, and you know it.
They all came down, correct?
They all came down 6 days to the date. Your signs were going back up there.
They all came down, John.
If we didn't complain, they would have been up because
They
one of your
all-
people brag.
They all came down.
Mark is the mayor, and we could put him back
Well,
up.
you know what people say. I don't know what people say. They're not my. I don't even know what you're talking about. But I know.
You know what I'm
that,
talking about.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. But I do know the facts, John. And you know you're not dealing with facts, but that's your right to say what you want to say. So
Because you know me, I do my
Appreciate it.
research. I have the facts right here. What you said is wrong.
okay, John. Thank you for
I
your
just don't want to hear it.
thank you for your comments. However misguided they may be.
Mark,
Anyone else
I don't
to?
need any of your remarks.
Anyone else?
I had a lot of your remarks that aren't true in the paper.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the audience of citizens, and we'll go on to our meeting agenda, starting with the consent agenda. So we've all reviewed the two items on the consent agenda, and if we have no questions, we will take a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the two items on the consent agenda in front of us tonight.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. New
Okay.
business.
On to the new business. Agenda item number 1 is a request to assign $237,000 from the 2018 surplus to help fund the school security vestibules account with money from the capital non-recurring fund. And Kevin Delaney is here to discuss the details.
Good evening.
Thank you.
I'm actually here with some good news for once. The audit is almost completed for fiscal year 18, and from a variety of factors, including significant contributions from the tax sale, as well as strong expense management, both on the Board of Ed and the town side, the town is looking at about a $770,000 surplus. That is just under 1% of the budget, so good results, strong results. The town had agreed to put in security vestibules at 4 of the schools, the 5th being the high school that was already covered through the construction project. The town went out and secured a state grant based on projected costs. Unfortunately, when the bids came in, those costs came in higher than what had been projected. There is a bond ordinance already previously adopted, so we have the ability to borrow money to cover that overage. However, given the results from this year, this motion is to ask first the council, and then if you adopt it later on tonight, the Board of Finance, to approve assigning money there to cover that overage, which does also include about $80,000 of contingency. So we would use some of the surplus money rather than borrowing to pay for that. The project is ongoing, so we're not certain of the contingency. I believe it's expected to be completed sometime next summer, ideally sooner, but probably next summer. And at that point, if any of that contingency is not needed, it could then be brought back into the general fund as fund balance, or it could be reappropriated to other measures as well.
Okay, thanks. Questions? Questions? Take a motion.
Okay, move to assign $237,000 of the fiscal year 2018 surplus to the capital non-recurring fund and allocate the funds to the individual school security vestibule accounts within the capital non-recurring fund in accordance with section 7-8 of the town charter.
Second.
Thank you. Any further questions?
It's good news that we can, try and lessen our bonding and borrowing and pay for some of these larger things up front.
Yeah, it's great that it hits, I think, 2 big initiatives that were talked about during the joint meeting, school security and controlling the debt level, to be able to accomplish both. I think is good.
Further comments or questions? Hearing none. Motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thanks.
Agenda item number 2, in this year's budget, Timberland Golf Course had budgeted for equipment lease of certain types of equipment. They're requesting that they're able to go to a public hearing to discuss the lease of those equipment as listed in the agenda item. John Zook is here to discuss it.
Hey, John.
How are you?
Good.
Evening. In fiscal year 2018-19, in the budget, there was $19,662 allocated for leasing equipment for the golf course. The 4 pieces of equipment that are listed, the 4 pieces of equipment are listed on the agenda item. We're recommending utilizing the state pricing bid established by Sourcewell, which was formerly NGPA, which is National Joint Powers. You remember? Alliance. They're a national organization that bids out governmental purchases of government equipment. The lower bidder for this piece of equipment was Turf Products of Enfield, Connecticut. Turf Products is using TCF Equipment Finance for their leasing agent. The lease will be for a 5-year term with a $1 buyout where we take ownership of the pieces of equipment. The initial lease payment will be $18,113, which includes the $250 documentation fee. Annual payments for the remaining 4 years of the lease will be $17,863. And I apologize for an error in the motion. The total amount not to exceed should be $89,565. Again, for initial.
It's correct there.
And we corrected it.
Reading it in the list.
That's what it says.
Oh, the list.
corrected.
The list is, yeah.
It was. Okay, I'm sorry. The one I printed out,
I think at the, yeah.
Yeah.
Here it's right.
so again, for the initial payment of the lease, it'll be $18,113, excuse me, which includes the $250 documentation fee. And then the remaining 4 years of the lease will be for $17,863 for a total not to exceed $89,565. This lease came in a little bit, about $1,800 cheaper than, or less expensive than what we're originally looking at. So we're saving about $1,800 per year.
Okay, thanks. Any questions, Mr. Zook?
Just try to refresh my memory. We've always tried to lease the equipment rather than purchase them right up front. Do we typically buy the equipment at the end of the lease?
It's a $1 buyout, so we just basically pay $1 for the equipment and we own it. The pieces of equipment have approximately a 10-year lifespan, so we're paying for them for 5 years, and then we still have 5 years worth of usage with the equipment.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, John. I'll take a motion.
Okay, move to authorize the town manager to schedule and advertise for a public hearing at 6:45 on November 27th, 2018, concerning the following. Be it ordained by the town council, we hereby authorize execution of the contract to lease golf course equipment from Turf Products Corporation of Enfield, Connecticut, using Sourcewell bid contract number 129829, in the amount not to exceed $18,113, which includes a $250 documentation fee for the first year of the 5-year lease, and an amount not to exceed $17,863 per year for the remaining 4 years of the lease, for a total of the 5-year lease term not to exceed $89,565.
Second on that?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Can I just add one other thing?
Sure.
We had...
We change our vote now? All right.
No.
All right.
You folks had approved the free golf for the Veterans Day. We had about 25 veterans play golf that day, which was Monday.
Nice.
And they were all extremely appreciative to have the free golf, and obviously we're very fortunate to have them serve our country.
Yeah.
So
great.
it was a great event, I think.
Good to hear. Thanks for telling us that.
Thank you.
All right, number 3.
Agenda item number 3 is a request for an 8-24 referral regarding it's a purchase of a conservation easement on a lot in Beckley Road, which is adjacent to Webster Park. Chris Edge is here to go over the details.
Thank you. Yes, this was something we had spoken about a couple months ago. Essentially was a piece of land the town was going to acquire to give us access again to Webster Park. This is essentially referring it to the Planning and Zoning Commission for 824 review through that commission.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, I think we talked about this last time. So any piece? Huh? Yeah. That's the piece we were talking about.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions? Hearing none, we'll take a motion.
I move to refer the matter of acquiring a conservation easement for map 17-1, block 132, lot 11 on Beckley Road, is to refer the matter to the Planning and Zoning Commission for review pursuant to section 8-24 of the Connecticut General Statutes.
Second on that?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Agenda item number 4. There's been a ongoing project of working on a fence for the community garden. This is to accept a $3,000 gift, donation from the Berlin Land Trust towards the construction of that fence. And again, Chris is here to go over the details.
Really not much to add. Jack kind of went over the majority of it on that one. Not really much
It was
to
a
add.
tough subject.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
I'm good.
We're good? take a motion.
Okay, move to accept a donation of $3,000 from the Berlin Land Trust for the community garden fence and deposit this grant in the donations account and to appropriate it to the Hatchery Brook Conservation Area account, subject to the approval of the Board of Finance.
Second.
Thank you. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Agenda item number 5. I don't see the person who wrote this, but we'll go through it. It's a request for a waiver on a sealed bid from Ideal Fence Company. The details are this is the fence for the community garden. They'd gone out and acquired 3 bids. Originally, the low bid was $9,421.97, which is below our $10,000 threshold for not going out to do seal, to going out with specification. As they went through all the efforts of securing the money and getting the details, the cost of materials went up, and I think that's probably due to the tariffs. Anyway, it went up to $10,662. What they're requesting is the council would waive the bidding process and allow them to contract with Ideal Fence Company for the amount of $10,662 since they were already the low bid, and it is in the best interest of the town. That is the request.
May I give
Thanks.
a little background?
Sure,
Mine?
absolutely.
So approximately 3 years ago, we started having problems at the community garden. What was happening is the fence that's there, it was being slit, and people were going into the garden and stealing things from the gardeners. They were either stealing the vegetables or produce that they had been growing, or actually sometimes they would leave things within their garden plots, and that would disappear. At the time, we approached the police and had more patrols go by the community garden. And the other thing that was happening too, some of the gardeners were getting a little bit nervous about being there because, the fence really wasn't a secure thing. It's, you can easily cut it. And then lastly, it was held up with posts, and the posts would rot and they would fall over. So about 3 years ago, I actually had started the process with getting bids from different fencing companies because I was on the Conservation Commission. And we didn't have enough money in our garden account. And then when I got off, the next person took over, and she's the one, Lisa, had gotten these 3 quotes. I think what it will do, they're going to be putting up a chain link fence, and it will be more secure so people really can't cut it. It will, prevent the posts from rotting and falling over, and it also will provide more of a sense of security for the gardeners when they're in there. I really think it's a great idea. I know Mike DeLorenz was working on getting some grants, and we couldn't accept grants because we're not a nonprofit. And so it's really nice to see the Land Trust working with us to get a grant and then give it to the garden. So it's really exciting to see this happening. And as a former member of the Conservation Commission, I'm very excited. So thank you, Jack.
That's great.
Excellent.
So, with that, take a motion.
Okay, I will move to waive the town's bidding process and authorize the Parks and Grounds Department to award the construction of a new fence at the community garden to Ideal Fence Company of Connecticut for an amount not to exceed $10,662, since this is in the best interest of the town, subject to approval of the Board of Finance.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Thanks.
Okay, agenda item number 6 is a request to approve purchase and installation of police emergency equipment on 2 of the 2 new cars. And Chris Susi is here to go over the details.
Chris, how you doing?
Good evening. So we're expecting delivery of these 2 vehicles that were approved in this year's budget, hopefully in December sometime. They're replacing 2 of our canine officers' vehicles that have some specialty equipment in there. And we'd like to utilize MHQ out of Middletown. They're under the state contract, and they actually just finished up the vehicle that got crashed and replaced. So that's about it on that one.
Who is MHQ?
They're a business located in Middletown. I forget what the acronym stands for.
Is it like Middlesex or Middletown?
I don't know. I know that when I was buying
Yeah, I
an
forget.
MHQ, that's all I've ever heard.
It's like
yeah.
the only.
That's the name of the business. Yeah.
They're about the only.
We all
company
use
out
it.
there.
The
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think the state police do. I know towns. I know when I was in Litchfield, we used them.
I think everybody uses them. I don't know if there's anybody else out there really, right? I don't know.
No.
But
We don't. None of us know the name.
Was that?
None of us know the name.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's MHQ. That is the
it's
name.
Middletown anything. It's,
No?
it's something else. Yeah, I don't think it's Middletown.
I
But
just didn't
I
recognize.
mean, that's where they're at, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway,
Are we getting one car or two
We're getting two.
at 29,000 each?
Yeah. So the quotes came in at about 18,000. Now this also includes transferring any usable equipment in the old vehicles to the new, and then purchasing whatever equipment they needed, whether it was the heat fans or door poppers for the canines. They have different cages. So the cages in the old cars aren't reusable, and the new Ford Interceptors. So the price is higher than what a normal patrol vehicle would be, but that's because there are canine
Right.
specialty vehicles.
And then the 5974. That's so. I guess what I'm trying to ask is everything you guys need is in here, right? There's nothing.
No, actually, that came before. I think Jim Simons came before the council before the vehicle. That was already approved through the council. This is just to equip them.
Okay. So you got everything here you need.
Yep.
Are these the bigger Explorer class or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Which is one of the reasons why the equipment won't transfer over.
Thanks.
Okay. Take a motion on this.
Okay, move to approve the purchase and installation of police emergency equipment for two 2019 Ford Interceptor utility police vehicles from MHQ Inc. of Middletown, Connecticut, under state contract number 16 PSX 0033 for a price not to exceed $35,080.86.
Second.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number 7. The police department is looking to purchase their server licenses for the. It's in the 2018-2019 budget. Again, Chris is here to discuss the acquisition.
This was part of our server replacement project. I've been before the council before on different aspects of it. This is one of the final pieces and necessary evil is just server licenses through Dell. And we're getting them through our Dell vendor, Winslow Technologies. They're on Massachusetts state contract. And the Microsoft server licenses, you only get them through the Microsoft. So
They got us.
yeah, I
They
guess.
got everybody. That's just it. Okay. Take a motion.
Sure, move to approve the purchase of Microsoft Windows Server licenses from Dell for an amount not to exceed $20,174.50.
Second.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Thanks, Chief.
Okay, agenda item number 8 is a request for a contract extension for the drain doctor. This is from the Water Control Commission. We're asking to extend their contract, which expires into this year for another year. They've held their prices. Ray Jerame is here to discuss the details.
Props, more props. Right.
I like props anyway.
I love this.
This isn't for this. The drain doctor, basically, a year ago or so, we had a open bid. He was the only bidder, sole bidder, and he's agreed to extend his prices for another year, so we would like to have him on contract for another year. He does all our pumping stations, cleans them out, and he's done some sewer lines that have been blocked up with either grease or wood or whatever. So he's been very helpful in all our cases. I'd like to extend his contract for another year at the same price.
Okay. Thank you. Any comments, further questions for Ray? Hearing none, we'll take a motion.
Okay, move to extend contract number 2017-20 with the Drain Doctor, Inc. for one additional year through December 31st, 2019 for routine repairs and emergency sewer services, including sewer pump stations, as this is in the best interest of the town.
Second.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
If you would indulge me with a couple more minutes,
Yes.
I'll have an update on the sewer project and a water project for you. So,
Great.
Our sewer project is, as you recall, is the lining of the Belcher Brook interceptor. So I brought in a piece of the actual liner. This is a liner that goes in, and it's reversed like a sock. And then this becomes this, which is, in my mind, an interesting process, because what happens is they take this material and they just put in a 1,600-foot piece through my backyard over to Meadow Lane, and basically this gets warmed up and then goes through the piping, sewer piping, and gets reversed, and this felt portion goes into the sewer lining, and then it gets heated up at 120 degrees. It gets cooked basically, and then they run it through the line again, and they run it for another 120 degrees for about an 8-hour period. They recirculate the water at this point in time because there's no sewage. There's a bypass for the sewer line. And what happens after that is a curing period. And after 8 hours, this is what happens. So this is, I mentioned to you originally that this is the interior of the pipe, which is this liner here. And this is the back end of the pipe, the felt portion. So this basically hardens up, and it allows us to go another 50 years in the existing pipe. When we did the original analysis, actually Cardinal Engineering did the original flow analysis, it was in 2016, one of the driest periods we had. This year is one of the wettest, and they're finding gushers all over that they hadn't seen before. Actually, it looks like a fire hose in a couple places coming into the sewer line. So I'm pretty sure this is going to make a significant impact in our sewer bill with Manabasset, because they're almost finished with the entire lining process, and then basically they're going to come back and do the manholes by the end of by the middle of December. So they'll have all the manholes done and relined also, because some of the manholes actually had holes in them too that were leaking in from the side. So the project is well worth it, and I think it was a very useful project for us. If you have any questions with regard to that.
I just have, so I hope that's not the indicative of our whole system, I'm afraid, of the answer to that question, but.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
This is my argument because of the fact, as I mentioned before, with other districts, I get down back to an issue with a water issue, because I know what we're doing. I just don't know what the other two districts are doing, but this is basically going to be very good for all three of us, because it's going to reduce the inflow, infiltration, like that.
Oh, come on.
It's still off.
It's clean. It's not out of a sewer.
I know, I get it.
I washed
really
it off
got all
before I
that.
brought it in.
Intrigued. Sorry.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah. They were sending it around.
I washed it off before we sent it in.
Here's the smell you're getting.
Hand sanitizer, anyone? Do we have it?
I carry it, so if you
Just
want it,
curious,
I
how
have
do
it.
they heat that, with water or with air?
No, they have a huge unit, a big, it's like a derrick. It's about 20 feet, 30 feet. When it's extended and the sock goes up, this is basically a sock. And what happens is then they put hoses in there, and the hoses draw the water and flip just like a sock. It flips it over and basically does the whole pipeline. And then they have to heat it, and they have to recirculate the water through the entire pipeline. So 1,600 feet, that was the last shot. That was the longest shot. They have to do another one, and Jack and Mike know about this too. We had a failure early on, one between manhole 106, 107. We actually had a failure because they tried to, this curing process takes 8 hours. If you try to shorten it in any fashion, what happened is it ripped the lining, and this is hard to believe, but in a 21-inch pipeline, they sent Sparky down to make the correction. They put Sparky on this is one of the guys, they put him on a little sled, they sent him down into the middle of the pipeline, 450 feet in the middle of the pipeline, 200 feet, tied him with his feet, and he basically couldn't maneuver it. So they have to rip out the entire lining, and they got to do the last lining.
That's insane.
So if I was looking for a part-time job, we
21-inch line, and he fit in there. He was the only one that could fit in it, actually.
Like H, his name there. Dirty Jobs guy.
I mean, that's
You know who, right? Yeah.
this is not similar to the line. This part of this.
Oops, the rope fell off.
The similar, and I have already called MDC because I was very concerned. We were in the middle of a lining process, and if you all recall, MDC had a serious problem with a backup during a heavy storm. Their liner failed, it didn't completely cure. So what happened is this fell down into the sewer line and it cut off the flow, and all the sewage backed up into all the homes. What happened is we're using, and it worked out really well, we're using hot water is probably the best way to do it because it expands it out to the wall and it keeps it that way. They were using UV light. UV light is good, but UV lamps are basically problematic. They have problems with turbidity and anything that interrupts the UV in terms of its full capacity. So that's one of the problems. They had to rip out that whole reliner, and they're going to be doing it like we did it. So, any other questions?
Not on that. I just am curious why you are standing here. Yeah, about Sparky. I'd like to know about Sparky now.
Full-time job. He
yeah.
gets shot out of a cannon.
If I could, I would have brought him in anyway.
Yeah,
I do have one other item.
Curious to meet Sparky, but
I know you like pictures as well as anything else.
Oh, yeah.
is it? Can you also?
Your presentations are phenomenal, I have to say that.
Ray, can you also talk about or just mention? Was there some issue in East Berlin? That's what okay, good. That's what the pictures are about. Show and tell is always nice.
I bet it's okay looking at a picture.
Yeah, Okay, pictures are good. Yeah. All right, good.
You go.
Good. Oh, what do you get? Cheap, Alex.
I'll take
one more. One more.
Oh, this is
Thank you.
gross. Excuse me.
That's lovely.
Oh.
Let me explain what happened here and a little bit of history again. I'll keep the history very short. Basically, in Berlin Water Control inherited East Berlin Fire District, which is the section that we're talking about. Last Friday, about 11 o'clock or so, we had a main break. And the reason for the main break was a sort of an unusual situation. Eversource drilled into our main trying to put a telephone pole in. And that caused what we call a water hammer. And water hammer pressure is basically 2 or 3 or 4 times greater than what the normal pressure is. So 100 psi pressure turns out to be 400 psi. So it blew 3 other sections in our pipe in East Berlin. The East Berlin section, it blew off. Not only was this damaged because it was drilled into, the second portion of it in Grove and Wilcox Avenue, and that's what you're looking at here, is this particular picture is the pipe that was taken out. I was there Saturday morning when they were taking it out. If you could see that there's a huge longitudinal crack. This is cast iron pipe. It's an older section, and this is the tuberculation. I brought in a pipe similar to this before, and this is exactly what the pipe is in most of East Berlin.
Time for bottled water, I guess.
Yeah, and then further down the street, Wilcox and Wilcox Court and Wilcox Avenue, it actually blew out one of our connections. So we have I didn't bring the pipe in; it's too heavy to bring in. But anyway, it actually blew the nuts and bolts off the cap on the valve. That's how much pressure was. And then we had another break as a result of this, also right in front of almost right in the front of the nursing home on Berlin Street. So we had 3 additional repairs to make because of this.
So isn't there that know where you're, what are the utilities? Call before you dig utilities? Did they not follow their own rule or what?
Yes and no. Apparently there were no markings, so they shouldn't have gone ahead and they went ahead and did it anyway.
Gotcha.
And apparently they never got the forms, and we never got the forms, or the forms weren't administrated or distributed or something or other. But nonetheless, when we went out there was no markings at all, whether it was gas, water, or sewer, or cable TV or electric or whatever. There was nothing there.
I guess we're lucky it wasn't a gas line, huh?
Well, it's true because they did put a pole on the opposite side is where the gas was located, but they must have missed it. So.
Yeah.
It's a very simple procedure when a contractor calls in this case it'd be Eversource.
Right.
They're assigned a ticket number, and that's on record. And usually all the utilities in the area, like the water department and public works, get
You're correct.
an email immediately.
Yep.
Either they got a ticket number.
Nobody asked for it.
Nobody
asked for it when they went ahead, and then they were given okay to drill. And then shortly afterwards, obviously, as soon as they hit the pipe, the pressure was released, and we lost water pressure down in Ice Pond Lane. Spruce Brook was first because it's higher up in
PUC that's administrated. This will have a real dim view where they're at.
This would be interesting, yeah.
So Eversource will be responsible to fix all the.
I'd like to think so.
I hope so.
I hope so too. But the other portion of this, I got to mention this again. I heard Sam mention consolidation. I'm really not sure what he meant. But anyway, in terms of consolidation with the districts, one of the concerns, as I mentioned, is we inherited East Berlin. I do not have, and we met with Kensington and Worthington almost 6 weeks ago. Still don't have an indication from them in terms of what our infrastructure concerns are going to be over the next 5 years. I know what ours are. I have no idea what theirs are. And this is concern to me because if they're not doing much into the infrastructure, we're going to be inheriting systems like this.
And so the town or the Berlin Water Control Commission just doesn't know, right? We don't know what they're.
We don't know, and we
about
brought them to the table, but we haven't gotten any additional information from them. Jack knows that and in fact, he was instrumental in sending out the quarterly meetings, so we are at least moving forward with that. So we're having 4 quarterly meetings next year. That in itself is a big step forward in terms of trying to sit down at the table and understand each other, what we need to do. And Charlie Panessa here was at the first meeting, and appreciate him coming and listening.
So, I mean, the meetings are great. It's a step forward, but I guess if we're just going to have meetings and not get information we need, I mean, I hope we can get past the initial stuff.
We've got 3 independent
Right.
companies. It's going to take some time. I think we made some progress in the first meeting. First, we got the meeting. We got 4 other meetings scheduled. The other part, we did get agreement on.
I don't know.
One concern was probably my number one concern with the water, and that was discussing chlorination. There are dead ends and pipes in the water system. We should not have dead ends. And we have several dead ends in water systems in the town. Some of them in places that are near schools. And the concern is that you don't get proper circulation of the water, so the chlorine content in the water drops off. The concern there is that you get bacteria in the water. Well, it's not quote unquote the Berlin Water Company district. I feel it's regular town. That may not be quote unquote raised.
Well,
district.
I just forwarded you something from the health department I got a little while ago to forward you exactly for that, because they were saying that you need a chlorine residual, and that's one of the items that they were looking at to have. And our district, particularly Worthington, who has a high school and a middle school, an elementary school, does not have residuals in any of those schools.
In the meeting, we talked about different ways of addressing that. And we had gotten information from the districts that they were going to begin planning that, and we haven't got a follow-up yet. But that is probably our first considerations. We want to make sure that we have proper circulation and proper chlorination, and residual, as Ray said, residual chlorine. At this point, there's nothing. Part of the water comes from New Britain. They can't add any more. They can't chlorinate any higher concentration because they're at their max, and we chlorinate what comes out of our wells. So we just need to get those pipes completed, and I think it was Worthington was working on getting us a plan for that. We'll have to go back to it, and I think we're going to have to keep pushing the issue.
This seems like the most inefficient system in the state of Connecticut, right? With 3 water districts in a town our size.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
I mean, enough.
Some private water districts.
Well, I'm sure there's issues everywhere, but this is pretty unique to Berlin.
Well, again, I worked at the state health department. I can tell you physically that there are no towns that I'm aware of that have 3 municipal systems within them.
Nice.
There are multiple public water supplies, which are like condos and schools and whatever, individuals, but not 3 small community systems, which are all quasi-utilities, or quasi-municipalities, basically.
Right.
We're a municipality, but they're considered a quasi-municipality.
I mean, we all know and love Berlin, and we're very unique in Berlin. We know that about ourselves, but this is probably over the line. And I mean, I think it's 2018 and 1929 or whenever they started these things is 1921. Okay, I'm sorry, I was off by 8 years. So can we fix that? We can't just sit here and let this go any further. I don't understand why we can't. Now we got to go to the state, I guess, right? They're chartered by the state? Is that correct?
Yeah. They're chartered by the state, correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
It takes a vote. It takes a vote of the district to Dissolve the district.
their own district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose in the interest of cooperation and the health of the town of Berlin with water, they won't vote to dissolve themselves and combine the districts and maybe bring us up to 2018 standards with our water. I mean, we don't even know what their water is.
I think it's a little bit of a public education issue also because most of the
Well, let's-
owners are not aware. The other two factors,
Determine without any knowledge.
I'm sorry.
How can anybody determine?
Yes, you're
without any
perfectly
knowledge?
correct with that. The other issue is the way I mentioned this once before, is the taxing process of this. We don't tax anymore. We charge for services. Right. Most utilities in the state do this, and most utilities do this. They don't even apply a mill rate. So if you've got a big company that you're charging for their real estate tax, they're subsidizing other people because the thing is they may only have 2 or 3 toilets in there and they may be using less than a residential home, but they're paying 3 times more.
With the tax, the way they like Kensington does it and Worthington does it. So how do we get this information if it's not forthcoming from them? Is there no one that regulates them? I mean, it seems strange. The health department?
The health department regulates them from the health perspective. DPUC, which is now Pura, doesn't regulate them. They only regulate Vestro and utilities.
So they have no oversight of anyone?
Nope.
Would it be a statutory change, Attorney D'Onofrio?
Well, as Ray said, their water quality is regulated by DPH, but they're not regulated by Pura. They're self-regulating like all municipal and quasi-governmental water systems are in Connecticut. So, you're not likely to get a change in the legislation because there's probably close to 100 municipal-owned or quasi-governmental systems, ranging from, the really small system that serves a neighborhood all the way up to South Central Connecticut Regional Water Authority, which serves 21 municipalities in the Valley and New Haven County. So, really all you can do, they are subject to FOIA because they're considered to be a public agency, so you certainly can get information through, if they resist providing information through informal requests, you certainly can submit FOI requests to get information. The process that Ray's talking about of billing through a mill rate, I mean, that's permissible. It's not the way it should be done in 2018. They ought to do a cost of service study, and they ought to set rates based on cost of service, like other water utilities do. But in terms of, the council or any other agency of the town having jurisdiction over them, that's not the way the statute is.
And the state has no jurisdiction? Nobody in the
Just
staff?
on water
Just
quality.
the water quality.
DPH on water quality.
Yeah.
They're not regulated by Pura.
Okay.
I've looked at this for a number of years, and I believe the customers, the people that live in those districts, can vote it out of existence, I've been told. And I don't think people understand the issue. If you ask most people in Berlin which district they're in, they don't know what you're talking about.
True.
And the way they administrate the tax isn't fair either. The regulation I found said they can tax their customers, and they're taxing everyone in the district, whether their customer is or not. And it's so complicated. Some of the water districts don't know whether the guy's their customer or not. It's just absurd. The people need to understand this, and I think the citizens would demand straightening it out. We could have a much better system. And I'm not talking about, let's get rid of 3 or 4 people that work for this department or that department. If we combined all that effort, we'd have a much more efficient crew and probably have a much better
One
water
company, keep all the same board members or
system.
whatever.
Well, you could
there.
keep all the same employees. You wouldn't need redundant
board.
management, which would be one of the things.
And there's the rub.
Yeah.
But to that point, there's an issue that all districts are running into right now, and Ray knows about. Our staff is getting older, and when I say older, I'm almost young. Well, I guess Mike now is younger than me, but our staff's getting very old. I've had this concern for 3 years now, and we actually had a meeting recently where we're looking at trying to come up with an apprentice program, and what we're going to do, what we think we may do, is actually have it so we're going to advertise within the town staff and see if there's other people in other departments who would like to try it for 1 day a week or 1 day every 2 weeks, see if they'd like it, and we'll start to train them to move them over. We have, our youngest person is in their mid to late 50s, and this is an industry-wide problem. It's not just in Berlin, it's everywhere. They're in the same position we are.
Even in the trades, in my business, you can't get people under 50.
So we've actually talked to other districts to see whether or not we can like contract with them to bring employees in to help us if we needed it.
But I just think if we shared staff among the 3 departments, it would just fix it all, but it would.
That would go a good way, yeah.
I envision an agreement where the board members from all 3 water districts can remain with the provision that as they retire, they're not replaced in the minimum, what is it, 7 to a board? What, is that how it is?
No, only 3.
3, so 3,
Only
3, and 3,
3.
so 9 total?
No, 3, and, well, our board is, first of all, our board doesn't get paid. The boards for Worthington
other
and Kensington get paid. And that's another question that's a very big issue, and I think, I'm not exactly sure how it is, but I have heard that it was a substantial amount of money. That's part of the problem. Our board members, which are made up of 5, and we have an alternate, we don't get paid, and they consistently come, and which I'm happy with. They're always there. So they have provided us with indication. I know right now, right in the next 5 years, what I'm planning to do. This is being finished. I'm already thinking about the next project for the water and sewer situation. I don't know that any one of those 2 have any idea where they're going from that perspective.
There's nothing on the agenda tonight to talk about this issue.
Right.
My suggestion is this is at least the 3rd time that this issue has come up in 2018. My suggestion is that the council consider having a joint meeting with the respective districts so that you can have a full and candid discussion about all of your concerns, both present and future, and really focus on this, because it is a very significant issue that deserves to be explored, but you have nobody here from the boards to answer your questions. I think you should consider a joint meeting.
Good idea.
Sounds good to me. What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
You're right, we have no
Hear
info.
what they have to say in support.
Yeah. I mean,
This
you know.
makes no sense to me.
No, right, to me either, but maybe we're missing the whole
Maybe.
thing. I don't know.
Maybe.
We could be, but so,
And in
yeah.
the meantime,
let's do it.
I'm just still really confused. The only avenue to actually get them to consolidate is if they agree or if they're voted out? Is that our only options?
Well, the members, again, it's not an investor-owned utility. So under their articles of organization, their constituents can cause the restructuring of the entity.
Got it.
You have to remember, I've gone to the annual meetings for both of these utilities. Nobody shows up. Only maybe 2. My wife and I were the only 2 were the Worthington Fire District ones. Nobody else was there. And same thing with Kensington. There's only 2 or 3 people that show up. So if enough people know about the circumstance, they may be able to change things, but they're not going to change
Get it out there.
Back in 1991, Fuss and O'Neill wrote a report for the town, and they were coming up with some conclusions, and it was kicked out.
When was
They
that?
never
What
finished.
year?
Excuse me, I think it was 1991.
1991.
Fuss and O'Neill came up with a proposal, and it was stopped in its tracks.
Does the vote have to happen in that manner, or can it be like a vote, like a special referendum or a special vote of some
I
sort?
think it's just the people in that district, right? They're part of the,
Incorporated.
yeah, they're part of,
Now, one thing that did
Private
change in the
enterprises,
legislation is that the old legislation said that you can't acquire them unless they all their liabilities are done. But the legislation was changed to say that if we wanted to take the liabilities, we could take the liabilities. And in my mind's eye, we already have some liability.
7
All right.
figures.
Hey, whatever happened, so, all right, we won't go into, we'll put it on our thing, but, yeah, we had that other question on some loan we were somehow signed up to back them up with, right, on the Worthington thing, we gotta, remember?
Keep that on
Mr.
agenda.
Delapier, do you remember that? So maybe we could put that on the next agenda, and maybe we could see if we could invite them. I hope they will show up.
Good idea.
Let's do it. Thank you for the advice, everybody.
Move it along.
Appreciate it.
Okay, agenda item number 9 is to discuss about acquiring an easement for Spruce Brook Road Bridge. Anytime that the town takes an easement, we have to bring it before the council to accept or go through the acquisition process for the easement. Mike Ahern is here to discuss the easement.
Good evening. This easement, actually, Spruce Brook
Road Bridge, it already had plans and specs prepared. So this really will allow us to go out to bid. And the Hansons were nice enough to give the department an easement. And I'm going to follow Ray's example. I'll show you just a little bit of a show and tell. Essentially, the new bridge will actually have concrete wing walls that extend south of the road. So this easement, like 30 foot wide, 90 feet long roughly, will allow that to happen. That's permanent. The blue outline area is the work area. It'll allow the contractor to get in there. So essentially, the easement's already been signed by the Hansons. I have the original Mylar here. This is just to file, to accept it and to file it with the town clerk.
Thank you. Any questions?
One minor correction. The scale on this drawing, it's incorrectly shown on the action needed. It's really 1 inch equals 20 feet, not 1 inch equals 16 feet, so I apologize about that. 1 inch equals 20 feet? Yep. It says 1 instead of 1. Actually, it should be 1, yeah, it says 1 foot. 1 inch equals 20 feet. Makes sense. Just to get that right.
Thank you. So, I'm gonna take a motion.
Okay, move to approve the acceptance of and filing upon the land records a right-of-way survey, Town of Berlin, map showing easement acquired from James R. Hansen and Jill M. Hansen by Town of Berlin, Spruce Brook Bridge replacement, scale equals 1 inch equals 20 feet, dated October 25th, 2018.
Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Having none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Okay, agenda item number 10 is to award the contract for the Kensington Dam renovation. They've gone out to bid. They have received 5 bids. Mike Ahern is here again to give the details.
Yeah, the bids were received on October 31st. We had 5 bidders. The lowest bidder is shown as D'Amato Construction at $1,593,307. And this is for repairs to the spillway and the dam structure itself, just actually the top, the surface repairs. It also includes a fish ladder and eel passage as well. I think that was encouraged by DEP. So we're recommending that, and this work has already been bonded by the town, this contract. So the funds are there available. We want to go ahead and notify D'Amato to proceed. So we'd like to get the award the contract to D'Amato Construction.
Great. Thanks. Any questions? Take a motion.
Okay, move to award contract number 2019-01, repairs to Kensington Dam to D'Amato Construction Company, Inc. of Bristol, Connecticut, in the amount of $1,593,307, and authorize the town manager to enter into change orders if necessary to bring the total contract to an amount not to exceed $1,700,000.
Second on that?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Agenda item number 11 is a request for a bid waiver for the GIS annual maintenance contract. The town has had a ongoing relationship with New England Geosystems to maintain our GIS system. Our GIS systems probably is in very good condition. They have to try to get another bidder right now to replace them would probably more cost than to renew the contract. So we're asking, this is in the best interest of the town. Mike Ahern again is here to discuss it.
It's my understanding that New England Geo has been doing this for 10 years at least, and I think initially set up the website, and that was more money at that time. So this is ongoing. I was curious to see how much usage the website actually gets, so I actually asked for a report. In the last 6 months, there were at least almost 25,000 sessions, is what they call it, but visits to the website, which is actually pretty significant, and there's about 12,000 registered users. So, and it looks like the user group has actually been increasing. So I know it saves the town staff time because assessors, engineering, public works, the tax collector, all of those folks, some of the information the realtors, engineers, developers can get right off the website. And it's actually, if you haven't gone on there, it's got a lot of information. It's got sanitary sewer, water, stormwater, as well as parcel information, topography. If you start clicking on the layers, it's actually pretty data intensive. So this is, and the $30,000 that we're requesting is broken out into the public hosting, which is $6,500, engineering, and for that, they actually produce full-size maps that we use for residents and for businesses that come in with questions, as well as 11 by 17 plan books that show the sanitary and the water supply systems. And I know that also water and sanitary, that's Ray's department, also uses those map books and the GIS data for locating water mains, valves, pump stations, that type of thing. I know the Economic Development Department also uses them for producing certain maps, and they actually do a nice job with those maps. I actually saw 3 or 4 of them today, so I was impressed. The assessor, I believe they update when there's a subdivision or parcel tax records get updated. They actually plug that into the GIS so that when you click on a parcel, the correct information comes up. And then general services is just, I think, it's part of it is for the internal. There's also an internal website that the town staff use as well as the public side. So that's our request.
Great, thank you. Any further questions, comments? So we'll take a motion on this.
Okay, move to waive the bidding procedure and award a contract for GIS annual maintenance to the New England Geosystem of Middletown, Connecticut for an amount not to exceed $30,000.
Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Agenda item number 12 is one I think Thursday we'll really appreciate if we pass this.
Let's hope.
We're asking for to award the contract for snow plowing of town streets to Earth Contractors. Again, Mike is here to discuss the bidding.
Yeah, this is to supplement our highway department. This is for a large plow truck. Earth Contractors, I believe, has done this for a couple of years with the highway department. He has basically his own route, so and also fills in if the highway department needs it. So this is at a rate of $200 per hour. He was the only bidder, and then he has he has 2 spare vehicles, and that would be at a rate of $175 per hour. And it would be provided from the there's a $20,000 line item for highway truck rental that would be funded from.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? No. So we'll take a motion.
Okay, move to authorize the award of contract number 2019-04, the snow plowing of town streets to Earth Contractors of Kensington at the rate of $200 per hour for the primary vehicle and $175 per hour for the spare vehicle.
Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. 13.
Agenda item number 13, again, is for snow plowing. This is in reference to the cul-de-sacs and miscellaneous areas, and they're requesting approval of two contractors. And Mike Ahern is here to give the details.
Related to the previous item, this is, there's about, and Brian Griswold, the highway super, every time he counts the number of cul-de-sacs, he has a different number. But he said, Mike, I think there's 140, and then about 125 of those are a little bit too tight for our large plow trucks to mop up at the end, essentially. So and he has essentially 4 routes of cul-de-sacs. So in a way, this works out perfectly because Stack's Construction has 1 truck, and Rogan Enterprises has 3 trucks. So he can actually divide and conquer with these 2 contractors. Stack's is being used at a rate of $145 an hour. Rogan is $160. So if we have an on-call situation where it's lighter than usual, we'll pick the lower rate first and then go on. But I think in reality, all 4 will be on the road. And this has been going on for, I think, several years or more with the highway department.
Why the different rates?
Well, Stack's came in, but we would like to have 4 trucks at the same rate. But it's somewhat similar to the water control where they have 2 on-call contractors that rotate. So you can pull one in, and then if you need the others, they come in. It would be great if they had the same rate, but that's not how the bids came in.
One Stacks only has 1 truck.
Yeah, well, yeah, and Rogan has 3. Rogan also has for their spare vehicle a loader, so that will come in handy if the highway department needs it for mop-up if we have significant snowfall or if our loader goes down, because we only have 1 loader. So I think that's an added benefit to their being on the list.
Does that go out at the same rate as a truck?
Actually, it's lower, I think. It's, 180 an hour. No, sorry, 160. Hang on, I have the sheet here. I think it is actually 175 an hour, I think, the spare. So I have the sheet. Hang on one second.
That's all right.
Almost done.
I take it everybody does this, right? Yeah. This is not unusual for town. I know we've been approving it, but
I don't think so.
pretty normal.
So, done this every
Better
year.
that the town should provide that service or not? Well, the whole thing. I mean, we use contractors because we don't have enough town.
We don't have that size truck. We don't have not enough trucks.
We don't have enough trucks or the smaller truck.
Let them pay the
You
insurance.
know, we're trying to get
overhead.
trying to shift the size of our trucks to do that, but we
Yeah.
don't have those yet.
Yeah, okay.
And if you remember, when we buy the new trucks, we're actually keeping one of the old trucks and rebuilding it so that we have a spare.
Right.
At this point, we have not had a spare.
And then I guess also, right, if we don't need them, we don't pay, right?
That's right.
Right? So, all right. Well, you get your question answered, Charlie?
Yeah, the sheet is downstairs.
Oh, that's all right.
actually,
That's
so
We're good.
I think it was, yeah, it's comparable, but it,
It's a good deal.
yeah, it is. It's not just a truck, it's an operator.
Motion?
Okay, move to authorize the award of snow plowing of cul-de-sacs and miscellaneous areas to Stacks Construction Services of Berlin at a rate of $145 per hour. Rogan Enterprises LLC of Berlin at the rate of $160 per hour.
Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. Thank you. Thanks. Town manager's report?
All right. I guess the first thing on my report was we've had two senior/community center meetings. I will say that today's meeting at the senior center, I'm not sure exactly what the attendance was, but I'd say it was 100 people, so it was very well attended.
Great turnout.
We got several comments from that, and we're waiting. Those are being documented, and we'll get those out to the council following the once they're all written up. We had the meeting last Thursday at the high school, which was not as well attended. We did get several comments at that meeting, and again, those comments will be written up and distributed to everybody. So I think that process has pretty much come to an end. One of the things that I talked to Tina after the session today, and the seniors would like to have a little more interaction. So what I've scheduled with Tina is that once a week, once every other week, I'm going to go up and just either at breakfast or lunch or coffee time, and just go and sit and if they have any questions or want to talk about something, we'll give them a time just to go ahead and talk to them about some of the issues. They did appreciate the fact that we had the session at the senior center today. They felt that having it at the high school it's limiting for them. A lot of them have walkers and they have difficulty getting there, so they did appreciate us having it at the senior center today.
Yeah, so you guys have plenty of notice. I talked to Tina after, and sometime in January we'll get it to everybody. We're going to have another, not about the senior center, but just other issues that they may be interested in. You know, we're talking about the tax abatement program. We also have, actually on the next agenda, could you put senior housing? That came up, and we haven't heard from Mr. Bajorski for a while, and we've been waiting a very long time for our senior housing. I know you don't want to.
I did talk to Joe on Monday.
Yeah.
And we're going to follow up this week with him.
We got to have an update. I mean, I know that the last we heard they were working on financing, but you know, we've worked through that other issue. It took 2 years, and the seniors had questions, and I don't blame them. We all have questions, so that would be something we could talk about. We'll get an update certainly by then. There was another issue I wanted to talk to them about, but it could be an open forum, whatever they want to ask, they can ask, and they did want to.
The whole council?
Well, anybody could go. Yeah, we could all go. I mean, I told them, and they appreciated us being there during the day, but I said, everybody but Mr. Pete works, so it's difficult.
Yeah,
they didn't like night meetings, and I said, I apologize for that, but we all work, and it's tough, and that's, we're all volunteers, but. If we could do another one, maybe once in a while. Jack goes every week just to talk to him, but if we can go, I guess Tuesdays and Fridays are the 2 days that are available that she can, Tina could get, she puts out a phone robocall, I think, and she got them all to come today, which was great. So maybe we'll try and do that maybe once a quarter. I don't know. something like that, and whatever topics we have, we can talk about. And unfortunately, it has to be during the day. I mean, I took 4 hours off today to be there, but so.
Well, I'm lucky. I scheduled my first one this Friday, and I've already been told it was free coffee day, so I'm on.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll whatever that date is, we'll figure it out. Probably, I'm thinking mid to late January we'll do it. And yeah, everybody's certainly invited to be there. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to.
Right. I guess a couple things on security. We had the report on the vestibules, and just so you're up to date on the vestibules, the drawings are complete. The contractor's going over a few things, and they're working on the final schedule. I did remind them that the way the schedule's supposed to work out, they're supposed to do Willard School before the end of the school year, and then they will do the other schools during the summer. Willard School has to be open during the summer. They have summer programs there, so that is being scheduled. But I believe now we have the commitments in place. I'll give you more definitive answers or dates at the next council meeting. But we have interaction going back and forth. We are on the schedule. We're good there. I meet with Brian on at least a monthly basis to go over things. One of the things they had said, they wanted to see a little more activity on security for the schools. There's been a lot of discussion about it. One of the things they had asked for were bollards at the high school. So we're in the process of finalizing the bollard quote, and I would say probably within the next 2 to 4 weeks we're going to award a contract and have bollards put in front of the school. That way somebody can't just drive up to the window. So we're taking care of that. And we are having meetings about security and security staff, and that's ongoing. So we are working on that. There's been a couple of us meeting at night to discuss it with the police chief and the mayor and the people from the school board. So we are discussing that. Do you want to add anything?
No, we just looked at 2 plans. The North Haven has the supernumerary plan where they're members of their police department. They already have that program, and they are sworn officers. Supernumerary is, like a better term, auxiliary officers. That's already established in North Haven. They help with construction jobs and different things for the police department. And now they added school security to them, and they just get paid hourly. So that's directed under the direction of the police department. And then the other plan we want to look at, we haven't talked to them yet. Just for informational purposes, it would be Glastonbury. Glastonbury has armed security officers under the direction of the Board of Ed. They are former law enforcement, and so we just want to see how they handle it. So Mr. Benigni is trying to just set up just a brief informal meeting just so we have some facts on it. And then, we probably at some point we have to bring it to the council as well, and the Board of Ed in its entirety with the council, and just figure out which way to go, which plan to use, and whatever plan we use would start with hiring the security coordinator, and that person, and we have that's already, as you probably know, has been advertised, and I think what did they tell us last time? 70 applicants apparently. So once we decide which way it's going, we can choose that person, and that person then will help implement the program. And with Mr. Benigni, the discussion already was when we hire that person. And right now we're looking at least covering the 3 elementary schools, because there's no coverage at all, and the SROs will stay in the high school and the in McGee. So that first person we hire, the coordinator, would sit in one of the elementary schools. So we'd move, we'd have someone there, and then we'd hire 2 more people, whether they're armed or not armed. We still, I think, and we'll put it out to the community, but it seems like the small group, and even Mr. Benigni now, I got the feeling last time, Alex, you were at the meeting as well, that I think he might see the benefit to arming the officers. I mean, I got in light of the last, I saw an article the other day, in 365 days, there's been 300 shootings around the country. So, I mean, I just don't see unarmed. I'm not sure that makes anybody feel safe, but that's still, that has to be decided too by the community and the council and the Board of Ed. But So anyway, that's where we're at. So we're trying to move quickly and get that plan in place and hire that coordinator. Yes.
Security coordinator, are those applicants, the 70 applicants, are they still being vetted when they start interviewing?
Oh, yeah, no, they'll be vetted.
Right, but when will they start interviewing to see who?
They haven't set a date yet to start that. And I believe that the police are going to help them in that vetting process.
Yeah, we'll wait until we pick the plan. You know, whichever way we go, then we could tell that whoever applied, listen, this is what we're doing. If you still are interested in doing it, whatever plan we pick, so then we could start interviewing. So
When I was with Brian today, he's trying to make an appointment to meet with Glastonbury, so that he can do that would be like the last piece of research, and then we can move forward on this.
Excellent.
Okay.
yeah, that's an update for everyone.
Just for informational purposes, you may have noticed I sent out last Friday a schedule of your upcoming meetings. They're not all ones that you have to attend, but in there I put down the Water Control Commission. I gave that one to you because they will be discussing water and sewer rate increases. I believe there was an article in the paper recently about that. You may be getting some questions about those rate increases. They have not had increases in several years. I believe if you're starting to see Ray give you the show and tell, and those pictures that you have are the interior of a water pipe. So that's the water coming through that pipe to your house. I think Jeff said you may want to get a Brita filter, but we have to get these. We need to be reinvesting. For the last couple of years, I've been working with Ray to get a capital plan showing where we're going to be over the next 5, 10, 15 years. Anytime you do something in water and sewer, it's not a $100,000 project or $150,000 project. One of those pump stations is $1 to $2 million, and these pump stations are 50 years old. And, we're having men climb up and down 40-foot ladders, changing pumps and things. We need to update these and get them in. And so we're putting that plan out there in order to support the infrastructure and the rates and the services they supply. They have to go for a rate increase. So there'll be quite an extensive discussion at their next meeting.
When was that meeting?
Unfortunately, it's the same night that your council meeting is. Normally, you don't meet the last 2. What we can do is get you that presentation, and we can get you the data if you would like to see it. It's quite a spreadsheet that we put together by a consulting engineer for us. So if you'd like to see that, get that, and then get it distributed to everybody. Okay. The Savage Hill Pump Station, I'll give you a little good news there. The Savage Hill Pump Station is just about complete, and what that means to you means is that we no longer will have a pump station. Everything will flow by gravity. This is just one of those cost savings that we've been trying to get. It's one of the things on our 10-year plan within the water and sewer. We're able to eliminate the pump station and run the line through a person's lawn and pick up another sanitary sewer within Pistol Creek and eliminates the pump station. We don't have to worry about pumps going down, generators, anything like that. So that's a marked increase. I have a few other things, but pretty much that's. I think the other thing that's significant at the next meeting, the health district's going to be here to give you a presentation. I think you all are aware that they are consolidating, and that we will no longer have a sanitarian here in the town hall. One of the requests I made to Charlie was that he come and present to the council so that you were able to, if you have questions, talk to him, that he would give that to the council. That will be on your next agenda. I think that's pretty much the highlights. If there's anything else you want to have questions, let me know.
I thought I'd ask you to look at the sign issue.
Oh, the sign issue.
Yeah.
I'll give you my perspective on it. I mean,
Well,
if you
can give me a flow of what happened when and.
well, that's what I was going to do. I mean, the sign issue started this summer. There was a sign that had nothing to do with politics, and we had that removed. I think everybody knew that. Subsequent to that, we put out on the Facebook and the town website what we felt were the rules for, because we knew that this was the political season, so we put that out there. So we put that out, and the town staff's trying to work. We understand it's political season, but we also are trying to govern our rules and regulations. It got to the point we got some complaints, so we started we had that first wave where we took them down. And
Where was that?
That was the one I believe down across from Central Pizza. And I told them take everything, and it was me. I'm the one who told them. They called me on a weekend. I told them take everything down. I said take everything down, so that we're not.
Well, who complained?
I have to ask Mark Kazakowski. I can get you, find out from him. We got several complaints, And over time, we would get complaints from a few from residents. We got some of that. The last round that Mark that was referenced tonight was from a business owner who's there said it was hurting his business, and that's when they took them down. And yes, I will say that when he says that the signs were down, and then some of the town picked them up, I asked them to because I didn't want anybody in the town being accused of playing favorites. I kept getting calls saying, you're taking one sign down and not another, and we weren't. The instructions were to take all signs down, But the other part of that is it is town staff, and I didn't want to send people out every day driving around town taking down signs. So, we'd let it go for a little while and then take them down. And let it go a little while. Honestly, what I have is 2 letters on my desk right now that I'm going to send out I was going to send out about 2 weeks before the end of the election season to the party chairman saying, here's the rules. We'd appreciate if you would govern, everybody would regulate their own people and regulate how they put the signs up. I think I'm going to I didn't send them out. In fact, the last couple of days I said, just stop. Let's just let it go. And it's going to be over on Tuesday. Just let it go. What I am going to do is before next year, the election, we are going to send those out to the party chairman and say, we'd appreciate it that just follow the rules so that we don't have to have town staff going out and when we get complaints, picking the signs up. The other thing we have done is in the past, we have taken verbal complaints on the phone. And we don't keep a record. We just go on. We address it. Mark Kozakowski said he's not going to do that anymore. If you want to have signs removed, if you have a complaint, it's only going to be in writing. Because if somebody comes in, if somebody wants to come in and see who complains, there's a record of who identified the issues. We're trying to. There was a lot of it. There was a great deal of detail. I want to say care on the town side, on the staff side, of trying to be fair and equitable and only take down signs universally. It is a lot of time spent on doing something that's not a lot of really value added, if I can, to the town. And yes, we did go out and survey because we were trying to be helpful on that corner because people wanted to put signs up and they said, well, the business owner says we can put them here. So yes.
Talking about Simeon's Mobile?
Yeah. We actually went out and we did survey. We said, okay, this is the town right of way. You got to stay behind it. Dave Thorne went out, and this is where the GIS comes in. We used the GIS to go out and say, okay, this is the area from here back. So if there's anybody who wants to say we didn't do anything right, I was trying to be very fair, very equitable, and make sure that when we did it, we only did it, we did it universally. And in some cases, we took down a sign for Boy Scouts or something, because we took them all down at one time.
And after that, no one put up any signs that you had to take down?
Oh, they kept going back up.
Who?
Both sides.
Who?
Who put them back up? I don't know. I mean, when we go out, and there'd be signs for Joe Harrison, which would be signs for the Republican candidate, too. Whoever the candidate was at the time. So they would both, I don't know who puts them up. I just know that I get a call to take them down. I would appreciate if nobody...
Well, I'm kind of disappointed, Jack. I'd asked you last month to come back and have a full report about what happened, who complained, who took what down, and I don't see that here. And I would hope maybe by the next meeting that you can do that for me.
I can.
Thank you.
So I do have a question then, considering that it was a political season, but you also will see signs in the same locations for other things like, I don't care, not a tax sale, a community event or something. They won't be allowed either?
Well, if we use planning and zoning's rules, they're not supposed to.
Okay. So then I would expect that would continue, and it would be, because over by Chamberlain Highway, I've lived here 32 plus years, and there's always been signs for everything over there. So I would expect that there would be no more signs for anything over there.
If that's what is wanted, we'll do. That's what we'll do. We'll follow that rule. It started with a sign this summer on the rail, as you came to Farmington Avenue by the railroad crossing.
It sounds to me like the town doesn't want to be too strict in its application of these signs, right? Because we don't want to be the sign police and going around and wasting resources. But then again, someone makes a complaint, and you're obligated at that point when someone makes a complaint to go do it, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a catch-22. I think if you just go and be the sign police and take them all down, it's just going to waste a lot of time. If you wait until someone puts it up, then it's going to be obviously two different political factions making complaints against each other, and then it's going to be this again. So I don't know what the answer is. I'm curious to hear what everyone else thinks, but
So I guess what I'm just saying is if something that's been there for 30-something years and you can't do it anymore, then it shouldn't just be political signs. It should be everything.
right. But that comes at considerable time.
I get it, but how else can you really be completely fair?
That's the fair way.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have to tell the town, I guess, what we think they should do then. I don't know either, you know. I mean, you're right, completely fair, they all come down. I agree. I mean, I don't know if this small tag sale sign on the weekend for somebody is what people were complaining about. I heard one of the complaints was from the businesses across from Central when they went up for the second or third time, whatever. They were unhappy. And I also heard somebody in the gym complaining to me that when they turned out of, coming from Powerhouse Gym to turn onto Farmington Avenue, they couldn't see. So, you know, it was very odd this year. We had a lot of complaints, but there was a lot. I mean, let's face it. There was a plethora of signs from both parties, everywhere. You know, both sides of the aisle. So, you know, maybe we limit them next time. I don't know, but there seemed to be
As far as I'm concerned.
a lot of signs. Yeah, I mean, it was a waste of everybody's time, and there's a lot of money. People put up signs and pay for signs. We all, you know, both sides do that, and they get taken down once, twice, three times. But if that's the regulation, if we want to follow it strictly, then we can instruct planning and zoning and Jack to do that. I mean, that's, you know, whatever you guys think. We could talk about it some more in the next couple of meetings, and whatever you think, we can do it, or vote to do it, or whatever we want. But that's how it, you know, whatever we want to do. Just trying to follow the regulations, I guess, you know.
Jack, I was wondering if you had any updates or about the Belcher Brook cleanup that's going on out there. People have been asking me all the trucks that are out there and through McGee and is that Belcher Brook?
That's what Ray was talking.
Oh, okay. That's part of the project? Yep. Okay. I didn't know if that was.
That's the staging area.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
hold off on this guy.
Excellent.
Him out, yeah. I'm very hesitant to put another constable on at this point. But
You want to hold on?
hey, can we hold? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
If we could.
I actually had a question about this.
Yes.
How can you have a mailing address in New Britain and it's the same as the address in Berlin?
Good question. See, that's why I'm holding off, but that's a good point. Yeah, I haven't talked to this gentleman.
Although,
Yeah.
some people's pools are in Berlin in their houses,
Well, that's what I
vice
wondered.
versa, in that area, so.
Oh, are they? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Raise the question that we should, you
I
know.
have that sheet. Let me see that. Yeah, I don't have the sheet with me. Yeah. Yeah, no, we have to ask. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, okay.
It's the same address.
Right.
And I know you could have a, you know,
Yeah.
line go through
Yeah.
your property, but just wondering.
No, it's a good question. So we can talk to this gentleman. What is there? What do we have? One vacancy now, I think? Okay. I mean, we can talk to him and we'll see what we all want to do. So let's just, if we could hold off, that'd be great.
Okay.
Special committee reports. We haven't had any since the last.
And just mention, we did have a Fields Committee, Peter. It was just kind of an introductory, there's new people. And just to maybe set some rules, you know, we're not here in the council to oversee what the Park and Recs Department does and the employees. It was just for them to make sure that they understand. They just report to us, you know, give us the recommendations for the budget season or whatever needs to get fixed. And there's another meeting scheduled December 13th.
I got you.
Okay.
Good, thanks.
Yeah, when we get the ordinance, at some point we'll do the ordinance committee again, and once we get some more information on a couple changes, maybe later this year or early next year, whenever we can get together. I know it starts getting in the holiday season, right? Any other committees that I missed? Nothing, so Councilor Communications. Karen, start with you.
So last week, Thursday, when I went to the public forum on the senior center, community center, it was brought up that there was the scheduled meeting today, at the senior center, and I questioned about it, and I was told it was discussed at the meeting. And so on Friday, when I got the minutes, and I read in the minutes that, I quote, "that forum is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, November 13th. So reading this and knowing that I wasn't at the last meeting, which I do apologize for, there would be no way of knowing that the public forum for the seniors would have been held today. And also, you had mentioned that at that evening that, there's still time to be able to come. Well, in business, sometimes you need more than just a couple days. So I am asking that there be more transparency and accountability and more of a cohesive way of working so that when there is a meeting like this, that we all can be informed in a manner so that we would have time to adjust our schedules.
And that's a point well taken, and we certainly will work on that. And when you, after that, both Charlie and Alex told me that Alex, I know one day we were trying to communicate and his town email was down. So I don't know how you fixed that, but you fixed that. And Charlie has not been getting some notices too. So I wanted to mention that tonight, that it's been 3 of you now that I've heard from that, I don't know what you did, Alex, to get yours up. That was
There was no email.
There was the what?
There was no email.
Well, and that's another, there's 2 issues. So that's one issue, and the other issue is, but Charlie has been up and he hasn't seen some emails that I thought went out to everybody, but whatever, we'll fix it. So Christy, it used to be, I'm trying to think who sent out the emails in the past. I don't know if, I see some emails from Christy.
Sheila may have.
Yeah, maybe Sheila always did it, but
Yes.
but Sheila always did it, right?
Yes.
And I'm not sure they all are coming from Christy now. I think some might.
Most of them.
Are they? Yeah, so
they should be coming from
if we
Christie.
just can make sure that, starting with maybe tonight's agenda, that the notes after the minutes, whatever, if there's anything we mentioned, let's make sure that gets out to everybody.
Recap or something like that?
Yeah, right? And then, you've all been getting the ribbon cuttings, I think, right? I've seen all of you on that. So let's just make sure what we discuss here, if there's a meeting mentioned, even if it's tentative, let's put it out, because it was tentative. I took leave today, this morning, because I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go. But, we were kind of short Thursday night, but I know it was always tentative because we didn't know when she could get the seniors there. That was always the question. But point well taken. We have to, it's not been communicated as well as I've seen it in the past communicated. So if we could just make sure we cover everything. And certainly what's in the minutes here. Because I know a lot of times we talk about it here, and I think you go away and, we're trying, it's tentative. It is tentative, a lot of these meetings. All right? So we will fix that going forward. Point well taken. Okay. Anything else, Karen?
Nope.
Karen, I want to ask you, though, while we're talking to you. So, in chatting with you just for a minute or two the other day at the Veterans thing, always knew your experience, but, this V&A thing, we've got I'm asking, can you help us? I know you can.
Sure, I can.
We've got to.
There's a lot of things that can be done.
Yes. So
They should add to the coffers of our town versus
Beautiful.
taking away.
Yes. So, in light of what Mr. Lamagno said, I know the Board of Finance seems to be gunning for the V&A. I've heard that a couple times from Mr. Lamagno, and I don't know. I personally think it's a nice thing to have in town. I know a lot of towns have done away with it, but while we're looking at it, whatever we decide to do, before we do anything, right, like we talked about everything else tonight, we need the right information and we need the right help. If we can fix it, I'd rather fix it myself personally. That's just my opinion.
Right.
But-
And I think I said this at our meeting that we held where we were, what was it for, like our wants or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
The fact of the matter is, it should be providing income for the town. And if it can't, then I think it has to be looked at, because it is not a function that, is unique.
Mhm.
There's thousands of VNAs throughout Connecticut.
Right.
But it can bring money to the town if it's run well.
Okay.
And it shouldn't be losing anything.
Right.
We shouldn't be supporting it. It should have its own budget. Bring in the insurance, the clients you need to bring the proper insurance so that they make money, and they can.
Right.
So I'm willing to help in any way I can.
So, yeah, whatever you can do. I know, and I know, I think you mentioned, we've all mentioned here that when they're relatively new and they're trying to work
Yeah,
through it,
and
and
I
I think you
believe
mentioned
they-
that at the other meeting, like give it a little time for us to
Absolutely,
see. But
I agree with that.
if there's something you, and all your years of experience, with the V&A specifically, right, is what you told me.
34 years.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of experience. So if you could,
Yeah.
if whatever you have to help us get that the right way, I think we'd all be.
Can turn it around.
Yeah, let's.
They really
I'm all
can.
for it. Right. If that's what everybody thinks, I think if we can turn around, we keep it. If we can't, we got some hard decisions to make, right? Nobody wants to make them, but. So, what do you guys think? Good.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily fair to just say we're going to defund them down to $1 without giving them the chance.
Well, I'm not.
you know?
I'm not.
No, I know you're
advocating
not.
that at all.
And I certainly think they have the ability to do that, especially if you're saying, yeah, I trust in your expertise in that arena. So let's give them the shot. And if not, then we'll
Right,
have the
exactly.
tough discussion,
And I'll be really honest, it's not going to happen overnight.
Of course not, yeah.
So.
Right.
But if you could see them moving in the right direction, then that's great.
Okay. So whatever
So-
you can do.
I just, on a good note, they have recently found that some of the billing was not being done. Jack, is that correct? Have you heard that too?
Yeah.
And that it was corrected and they're bringing in, funds. So right there, they've
Right.
been doing a nice job. I mean, we have to keep moving forward, but there's
Good.
some things they can do.
We also got some bad news. I don't know if you did at Hartford Healthcare last week. They said Connecticut is going to discontinue reimbursements to the VNA.
What? I didn't hear that at all.
Yeah, that just came up.
Well, I'm going to have to check that out.
I wish you would. So I asked them, can we go back to them and appeal that decision?
That's wild. I mean, there's plenty of seniors who have Connecticut Medicare.
And so
it doesn't
we
make
lose,
a lot of sense.
8 to 10 of our census with that.
Wow, and that's a good portion of the census. So, yeah, I'll follow up on that. Absolutely.
No, they are making headway, and they have cut overhead. The ongoing thing is we're trying to increase census in the census that does pay for itself, so that they cover the overhead. And we are looking at different ways of having different nurses. And I think you've been involved with helping with that, per diems versus going with staff nurses and changing that too.
Yep, because they cost less, no benefits.
As long as we, we're obviously talking about it. We understand the issues there, and it's a revenue loser at the moment. But
Good change.
right, and that's what you said. You said it at that other meeting. Let's just wait a little bit because it's not going to be overnight, and we've got new people running it now, and they haven't been there that long either, right? But finally figure it all out. We know it all takes time. So yeah, so let's keep an eye on it, and whatever you can suggest, just let us
I'll follow
know.
up on Connecticut tomorrow.
We have a monthly P&L now on the VNA. We meet monthly to go over staffing, P&L, and that information is being taken back to the VNA board also.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, because it's a big number we're putting. It's a big number over there, but
737,000.
is that what it is now?
That's what it was for last fiscal year.
Yeah. No, it's
That's a lot of money.
Loss of 7?
Yeah. Yeah, so we got to get it under control. I think we all know that, but I think we got to give it a chance now that I think have hopefully the right people in place, and with some of your expertise, hopefully we can get there. I hope. Try. Right? Thank you. Joanne.
No, I just want to acknowledge, it was obviously a pretty grueling campaign season, so I just wanted to congratulate and give a shout out to all the victors, especially after the recount today to Joe Arasimowicz. He ran a campaign that wasn't based in negativity and accusations, and I'm just relieved and delighted that that he's going to be our state rep again, and that Berlin will benefit from his role as the Speaker of the House. So I just simply wanted to congratulate everyone, and especially Joe.
Thank you. Peter?
Nope.
Nothing.
I just wanted to continue on the Sam Lamaglio point of order, number one, that he brought up. Seeing as if there's only two people here on the town council back from 2014, this town council did send a letter seeking some cooperation with the Board of Ed about possibly combining some services. I mean, I have the letter in front of me. I did send this to Sam and a couple members of the Board of Finance as ideas. Sitting here on the town council with Charlie, the only ones that were here, I don't know if this letter was ever responded to. The last sentence of this says, the council understands that the Public Act 1360 does not require the Board of Education to accept our recommendations. However, as required by the Act, please submit a written response to the town council indicating whether the board accepts or rejects our recommendations. For any recommendations that are rejected, please provide a detailed explanation for the rejection required by the Act. And that was signed by Mayor Rachel Rochette and Kevin Murphy, Bill Rasmussen, Margaret Morelli, Dave Evans, Brendan Luddy, Charlie Pianessa. So there are ideas out there that have been around for a long time. I don't know if anybody's ever worked on them. Certainly, I never saw a response to this letter. I don't even know if there's one in the file. So this was given to Sam. I don't know what his problem is. It's not something that I recommend. I'm just saying that there are ideas out there that were never studied.
Can I ask a question? Can we see that?
I can send it to everybody here.
We're in the budget planning right now, and one of the things that we would like is some guidance and some ideas from the council, Board of Finance, Board of Ed, of what they would.
Well, there was 3 points order in this letter. I'll send it to everybody. One was about not hiring a facilities director because we had just signed or hired Doug Solik and had experience with HVAC systems, and that was, trying to save $105,000 in salary at the time. Another one was about the town or the school not charging for use of facilities for rental fees for the gym when some of these things are under bonding and the taxpayers are already paying for them anyways because the town doesn't charge the golf team to use the golf course. So there was those things in the letter. And the other one was about possibly looking at combining the finance department and ID departments of the Board of Ed and the town side. So I'll send it to everybody. It's been out there for 4 years now, and I don't think it was ever responded by the Board of Ed. As far as I know, it could have went to the town manager or the mayor at the time and didn't share it. But Sam has that information. I sent it to him. That's all.
Thanks, Alex.
I wasn't going to say anything, but piggybacking off of that, Sam Lamaglio attacking me again. The guy's going after me. I don't know what his story is. I've been here for a year, and the only talks about consolidation I've had are, I believe we're all in agreement, was the Water Commission. I don't know why he proceeds to keep attacking me. He's got something out for me. I don't know what his problem is either. But I'm certainly open to the idea of consolidation if we all agreed to it, but I certainly don't have any plans in the works, if that's what he was insinuating. That's it.
Charles.
To Brendan's point, we all need to search for ways to consolidate, and I know some of the town departments have been doing that the last couple of years, moving personnel around and trying to share duties. And it showed in their savings this year. The other issue I have is not political or financial. We have a number of streets with the same name, and it's confusing for people, and I think that may have added to the Eversource disaster in East Berlin. Which Main Street did they get the mark out on?
That came up today in the conversation.
I don't quite know how to fix it, but we really should do for a matter of safety. I can't imagine being a fireman from another town coming in to mutually aid our fire department and wondering which Main Street should we go to. I mean, there's a lot of safety issues that we got to really try to come up with a better way to.
Yeah, we got Ledge Road, Ledge Drive.
Well, at least that's a difference.
Yeah, but
Main Street East Berlin, Main Street Berlin. I mean, I think there's a couple other streets like that.
Norton Road, Norton Lane.
Somehow, if we could come up with an identity for them.
It's not that uncommon. Other towns have the same issue.
Well, it's
and what they do is normally
dangerous.
it is, and what you try to do is either numerically use a numerical address, and now, of course, you can use GIS or GPS to identify the location. But that's something we have to talk about, because they do, at one point, there was a discussion whether or not the reference to Main Street did confuse them or not, and I don't know that we have yet the full answer on that, but there were no markings. And somebody did make a very good point that, it's one thing to hit a sewer line or a water line. It's disruptive, it can be damaging, but it's not going to damage a lot of people's homes. If you hit a gas line, that would have been much different.
Perhaps just what happened in Boston, right? They had some issues. Different, but.
$1 billion fix.
So, what else, Charlie? Anything else? Good. I just want to, if I can, just this letter that was left here for us. Miss Ivano was at the meeting today and tried to address some of that with her. But so there's no plan, there's no collaboration, there's no anything. So that was kind of the last meeting, I think. So now, what I believe, if you all agree, we need to move forward and pick the advisory committee for the senior center. So I told Barbara Gumbats today, she's definitely on it. I hope you all agree. If you don't, you don't. We can vote on it, and then we have to look for, whatever we think. I talked to her a little bit about it too, but talked to you guys. 7 people, 9 people. She didn't think it should be over 9. I agree. I don't think it should be huge, and it should be, and we discussed it. Think about it, and maybe our next meeting we could do it. I mean, somebody from what do we talk about, Park and Rec?
What I think maybe what I could do, Mayor, is send out a couple different lists of items, of different ideas.
Yeah.
And then it maybe and put it on the agenda for next meeting.
Yeah.
You can pick from that and see how you want to lay it out.
And they get people on there, and we could, get them starting to look at different options and different things and get the plan going forward. All right? So that's what we'll do. Thanks. Okay, acceptance of minutes, just October 16th, 2018. Are we good with those? Everybody here, but
Move to be accepted.
thanks. Second on that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I abstain, I was not here.
Same here, abstain.
Okay, thanks, Brendan. Okay, we all said aye, or all those in favor, aye. So motion carries, and motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Thanks.
Excellent.